Good morning, Peter.
How are you doing, Rusty?
Good. Hope you had a good Easter break.
Tons of eggs and, and goodies. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't stand them, I'm afraid. But anyway, it's a nice day. And it's been snowing here today. Can you believe that? However, we're going to move on now to what we're here for. And it's a place called Namaacha, which is in Mozambique. We're going to come on to that in a second. Before we do that, just a quick introduction of what Peter's got merchandise-wise up and about at the moment. He's got the book, No Mean Soldier. That's the old one. We have the new one being printed and should be here for Peter very, very shortly, hopefully this week. If not, very, very soon. The film Killing Escobar, another one of what Peter's been involved in. Take a look at that. It's on at the cinemas. You've only got to type it into Google. You'll find out which one is closest to you, albeit they're all virtual anyway at the moment. But take a look if you want to see Killing Escobar. Everybody knows who Pablo Escobar was. Peter was involved in that. So take a look. We have our Facebook page, which is SAS Special Air Service Military Collectors and Facts page, doing extremely well. Lots and lots of people joining every day now. Let's keep that momentum going. Have a look around, speak to like-minded people. If they want to join, tell them to just ask. We'll have a look and we'll accept them or we won't accept them. We just don't want waltz, thank you. Well, get rid of them very quickly anyway, so it doesn't make much difference. Peter McAleese, SAS TV, that's his YouTube channel. And website, which is up and running, www.petermacaleese.com. Find out everything you need to do on Peter, all on there. What we're going to do now is talk about a place called Namaacha in Mozambique. Okay, there. Okay, on this side here, that's Mozambique. Indian Ocean, come across Swaziland, and then up the green is South Africa. Namaacha is there. It looks like it's in Swaziland. It's actually on the border of South Africa, Swaziland, and Mozambique. Peter will tell you about that in a second. So that's just to bring you up to date on where it is. So, Peter, Namaacha, from 1979, 1980, when you were there. I've told them where it is. Would you like to tell the people who are listening the first part of how you found out about the operation, where you were, who you were working for, and the initial briefing you got? Was the intelligence good and all the rest of it? If you take us that far to start with, that would be great.
During that era, I got myself involved with the Salute Scouts Special Branch. Now, can I make it clear here? I was not in the Salute Scouts and I was not in the Special Branch. I was just a contractor working for them. So that was my involvement there. At the same time, around about the same era, I was called into the office by one of the bosses who said he had a job for us. And it was in South Africa. At that time, there was an exchange program going between the South Africans and the Rhodesians, whereby they helped each other out. And this is how I found myself involved. We had a briefing of what we were required to do, and it was to take out a house with 4 ANC, African National Council people, Congress, people in a place called Namaacha in the Mozambique. So we drove down there, drove to the border at Messina. Some South African Special Branch guys picked us up. We stayed the night in a hotel at Messina and then moved on down to South Africa. We drove all the way down and across the country to a place called Kamati Port, where we had another briefing by the Special Branch of South Africa. And we also met a source who was going to take us in to do the job. So we decided, right, we're here now. We've had the briefing, let's go. So they drove us up to the border where Swaziland meets South Africa and the Mozambique. So in actual fact, we did 2 incursions in one night, one into Swaziland, and then we cut the fence into the Mozambique. So we, as I say, we cut the Swazi fence. We went down about 2 kilometres down the Mozambique fence. And we noticed there was a Land Rover patrolling up and down the fence, roughly with about half an hour interval. So we sat there, waited till the Land Rover had passed and come back down again, and we cut the fence. We were very methodical. And, when you cut the wire, we replaced it with other wire. So at a glance, it looked as if everything was intact. At this time, we were completely blackened up, and we were carrying AK-47 rifles, and we had the source with us. So we decided to hard neck it, and we just walked into Namaacha, down the main street, and round the back gardens of some places. What I did notice at that time, what went through my head, and it was just after last night, it's funny how priorities change over the years. There was beautiful swimming pools, but they weren't filled with water anymore. They were filled with chickens. They were used as chicken hutches. And I just looked and said to myself, it's funny how priorities change with people. We carried on and we spoke to the source, and he pointed the house out to us. Now, we'd rehearsed this for about a week beforehand, and we went up to the house and we had what was called bunker bombs. It was a plastic explosive crammed into a grenade holder with the mechanism from the grenade into the actual explosive itself. So the plan was, on my signal, which was a whistle, to bunker bomb the house, and I would follow in with 30 pounds of explosives and take the house down. As I say, the South Africans wanted to make an example of this place. Don't mess about with us. Don't keep your controllers next to the border where you can send people in to do depredation in South Africa. Anyway, I blew the whistle. The bunker bombs went off, and the sides of the house came down, and I ran into the house with another member of the team and planted the explosives in the middle of the floor. What I didn't realise, the guy with me said someone was shooting at you. This was after the event. I couldn't hear it because my ears were fucked with the explosion. So as I say, we planted the bombs, the bomb, and we took off. And we got about 100 yards away from the place, and I said, get down. And this house went straight up in the air. There was tiles flying all over the place. So we're lying on the floor there with our hands over the top of our heads, being rained upon by house tiles. When that was settled down, we took out pamphlets and scattered them all over the road and said it was the Mozambique National Resistance. They were posters from the Mozambique National Resistance, and who were also backed by the South Africans. So we got back to the fence area. We passed through the Mozambique fence back into Swaziland and up. There was a bit of a hill to South Africa. By this time, it was getting round about first light. And the South Africans were there, and they were ecstatic because they had a gallery view of the explosion. Now, we had asked them to bring jerry cans of water. And I think there could have been something lost in the translation. They never brought any water, they brought us beer. And we'd been running all, the last part of the journey to get through the fence for first light. And we were extremely parched, and there was bottles of beer there, and we drank them. After about two bottles of beer each, we were on another planet. And we said, look, we've got to get this camouflage cream off us. So they produced a couple of old baths from somewhere. And we went to a stream, filled the baths up, and we washed ourselves as best as we could. But, we looked like some of these vaudeville actors, we sort of mascara around the eyes, and there was the odd bit of camouflage cream in the ears. They took us back to Pretoria, into a hotel that the special branch used. And they says, just have what you want, enjoy yourselves. And there were certain things that you couldn't get a lot of in Rhodesia. One was whiskey. The other one was dairy foods like cheese and whatnot. And so the guys just decided to sort of feast, on this. But it was funny because one of the waiters said, oh, you're tourists, are you? And everybody was sort of heavy built, And he looked at us and he looked at our ears and our eyes. And he said, oh, what have you been doing? We said, visit the coal mine, So he just looked at us and smiled because this went on all the time in that hotel. So, as I say, the guys feasted for a night. The next day, they drove us back to Rhodesia, a long drive. But we got there, slept tonight in Bandura where we lived, and went to see the boss the next morning for the final debrief. And it was pretty good. The South Africans were extremely proud of the effort we had made and the example we had set to the baddies. He then went into his briefcase and threw a bundle of money on the table. He says, this is a present from the South Africans for doing such a good job. There was $1,000 there. That was for each of us. And he said, if you'd rather have it in South African rand, I can pay you in that. So, Rhodesian currency wasn't any good anywhere. You couldn't use it outside Rhodesia. So we opted for rand, and we finished up with 1,200 rand each. And it was a sort of a thank you gift. And what it did to us is it gave us a confidence in ourselves that, we were capable of doing things. We had travelled down to another country and done the business. But I'd like to mention here at the end of it, the reason we were chosen for that job is every one of us had a foreign passport. There was no Rhodesian or South African passports among us. So if any of us had come short, we were deniable, if you understand what I mean. It was a good op. I felt it went fairly successful. And there's one thing I'd like to mention here. There was a guy on that op with us, and he's dead now. And he was 55 years old when he went in that op. And that man kept up with us all the time. And as I say, he died recently. And it was a sorry loss for all the guys, It was as I say, I felt better for it. And it gave us confidence for any jobs we were doing for the special branch in the future.
But just to go back slightly, Peter, it's a great story, by the way. And no wonder we can't find it anywhere. It was so quick and well, obviously the rehearsals and stuff you carried out. Did you have the same, a proper setup for the rehearsals? I'm always interested in things like rehearsals where you plan and prepare and stuff.
Oh yeah.
you know, was it built? Was the house the same?
Aye. Time spent in preparation is seldom wasted.
No, that's right.
We lived in a farmhouse, and we used the farmhouse, which was roughly the same shape. And we did dry runs on the farmhouse, and then we went out into we had a sort of football pitch, and we juggled about with formations and whatnot. You know, we had string laid out, which was a wall and that. So I say we rehearsed for a full week in it, and there was no messing. We did it at day, and we did it at night. So in actual fact, for that job, we did roughly 14 rehearsals, which I felt was a good effort on the part of the guys.
It is a good effort, mate.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing, you can't beat it. And of course, you guys, did you 6 of you, you say there was, of the team, did you all know each other, Peter, or were they just come together?
Yeah, but no, we knew, some of us knew each other. In actual fact, I knew one guy from the SAS, the British SAS.
Yeah.
I knew another who had crossed. There were some guys who'd been in 3 para, a guy from 2 para. So we all knew each other's backgrounds, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously when you're thrown together, you know, we've done it in team jobs before all over the place. You just got to rely on the training and everything else, you know, that's what you get paid to do. You know, but I should imagine that there was fun in it. If it was anything like me, I always found that somewhere there'd be some fun in it. Something didn't quite go right. You make it work. And it just goes on like that. I mean, there was only times like that, you know, people falling through floors in the house and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's an awful lot of fun in success.
Yeah.
And, you know, as I say, one of the bunker bombs had hit the wire mesh on the window, and it went off on the ground and sort of deafened it. Well, it deafened me. But, you know, it was a mishap. The fact is, was it a successful job? Yes, it was. Did we carry out the task that we had in hand? Yes, we did. Did we give credibility to another group for doing it? Yes, we did. So, and the funny thing was, nobody reacted to that incident.
That's what
there was troops in the town. Nobody came looking for us. The border patrol, we just waited till the truck went up and come back down again and went back through the wire. I couldn't understand the lack of reaction because we were prepared for a firefight after we'd done it.
Strange, isn't it, that there's no follow-up at all, you know, not that you were aware of anyway, but as you say, if they just carried on about their own, there was 4 enemy, Peter, wasn't there, in the house?
Yes, yeah.
That you went after. There was 4 of them there. There was 6 of you guys. And I find it hard to believe that they didn't follow it up. Maybe, who knows why? Maybe they did, but maybe there was.
I think it's got a lot to do with. I think it's got a lot to do with communism.
Yeah.
You know, you don't. You know, the people don't interfere with what goes on.
Yeah.
There was a couple of people came out of the houses and had a look, but you could only see us from a distance. And we were wearing Frelimo uniforms.
Yeah.
As well, so. They took it. They took it that we were Frelimo troops, you know.
Well, again, it was a successful mission, mate. You all got in, you all got out. You done the job. You got back and had a beer, as good soldiers do.
No, get this right, beers.
Beers. Had the beers, yeah. And it was all done from really last light of one day through to first light the following morning.
Yeah.
All done and dusted, and you were back in South Africa.
Yeah.
And you didn't have transport, did you, you didn't have transport at all whilst you were in Mozambique?
No, it was all on foot.
All on foot. That's another remarkable tale as well. So, well, with that, Peter, thanks very much. And we'll be back again later.